That's what I told you. It would go back to that. It would go back. I told you.
Glasses?
What the fuck?
I don't know. Where are my glasses? Oh, they're right there. Okay.
What?
Mommy Jade is telling me that I need to wear my glasses.
What the fuck? He's completely run off the Twitch. And then he has the gall to complain about being shadow banned on YouTube. It's like, cause you don't. Let's look at that for a second. Oh wow, his channel actually shows up. Oh, he fixed that. Crazy. But who? Just I kind of did this last stream. Who the fuck is this made for? Who is this content? This content is literally just made for Keffels' audience. So like a dying audience, an audience that's slowly realizing how much of a piece of shit she is and leaving. I was sort of in Keffels' circle. I still have no idea who the fuck I don't know who the fuck this Demi Gloom person. I don't know who what is this made? Who is this made for? Because my content is made for me. Okay, it's made for shit. It's basically a blog. I treat it like a blog. Or I guess we don't have to watch his. I don't want to watch his fucking streams. I'll watch his videos, whatever. But let's see. What's a good one? Oh wow, this one almost got 3K. That's kind of good. You're sub to him? Of course. Of course I'm sub to him. I need up to date on my Tipster news. Okay. Like what? This is so fucking obscure. Like 8 days ago, can't even break 1K views. And he's like, he's orbiting like a bunch of political streamers and shit like that. Who the fuck is that made for? How is Zan doing? Yeah, he's doing all right. He's doing fine. I mean, he used to be doing so much better, but after Keffels, you know, kind of destroyed him. All right. Drinking game. All right. Every time Tipster does a sound effect, we'll fucking take a shot. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't do it as much. Might as well play the video now. As you can tell, I don't plan shit. So stop.
This was posted on Twitter, and so let's take a quick little glimpse at it. We're not going to watch the full clip, but just to kind of refresh your guys' memory a little bit, I'll play a little bit of it. So here we go.
Hi, Michael. My name is Demi. In the recent past, you've advocated for the outright eradication of transgenderism from public life with the claim that the supposed right of confused people to pretend to be the opposite sex necessarily infringes on your right to distinguish between men and women.
Or if anything, I'll react better than
biological
Tipster.
male
Tipster has like the
dressed with
most
a pair
dog
of
shit
leggings.
reaction.
Do you sincerely believe
So
that I should
I'll
be
try to do
subject
his
to
job
criminal
better than
justice
him.
on the basis of what I'm wearing? And if so, are you willing to turn yourself in for wearing women's panties in your gay college film?
Oh, there we go. That's a drink. That's a drink. That's 2 drinks because he played it back to back. So that's 2 drinks. Oh my god.
I love that clip so fucking much.
Oh wow, me
hard.
too.
She went hard for sure.
Damn,
anyway,
she literally wept out the 9. Fucking blew his brains out. Can I say that? I don't know if I can say that.
The full debate, we reacted to it on my channel. You can definitely check.
I hope Tipster
one of the things
does
that
it enough to get me
Demi
drunk.
kind of gave me a heads up about in the DMs was they basically let me know that.
Oh
hey,
no, he's sliding
that's
into the
not
DMs of fucking bro. I swear to fucking God. Keep this man away from trans women. I don't know if that's too mean. I don't want to be too mean. See, look, I used to like. I say used to, like last month was obviously super heated. I was like, I fucking hate this dude. I hate his guts. But I just like, it's just, it's almost like kicking a dog, right? It's like, sure, the dog is yapping, is being annoying, but it feels like kicking a dog.
Only
bro.
piece of content that Michael Knowles created with me involved while I was there. They obviously did the open debates or whatever you want to call it, open question panel, whatnot. But apparently they started interviewing people
Tipster should
as
do an
well,
open
and they were
panel.
planning to do like a segment based off of those. Okay, so we're gonna take a look at this. We're gonna
What
see
an astounding
what it is
observation.
and give our thoughts as we go along. So without further ado,
Play that shit!
here we go.
Oh, that's a soundbite.
When a conservative
soundboard.
speaks on a college campus, anything can happen. I've come to expect the histrionics of the excitable leftist students with purple hair. That's just how college kids are. It's frankly kind of charming. What still gives me some surprise, though, is that the most ardent disruption these days often comes from the supposed adults who should know better, the university administrators. Just days before I was scheduled to speak at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, left-wing administrators tried to shake down the students for a last-minute, unprecedented security fee totaling well over $4,000. From me, little old me. At first, I was honored. UW-Madison didn't charge any last-minute security fees when my friends
My
Ben
God,
Shapiro
even this
and Matt
fucking
Walsh
video is
spoke.
boring. Jesus, just can he say something? Like, I don't fucking know. Like, skip around. Like, I don't know. I fucking
Almost the whole time.
I'm standing here now, a biological male wearing a dress with a pair of leggings.
Shout out to Demi Gloom.
Oh my God! Yeah, shout out to my to my dwaning fucking
You
dwaning
sincerely
follower
believe that I
base.
should be subject to punitive justice on the basis of what I'm wearing? And if so, are you willing to turn yourself in for wearing women's panties in your gay college film?
I say almost.
Is that the worst clip he could get? Like, to try and show the outrage that was sparked against him? Is that literally the worst clip he could find?
The whole time because a couple students, one who called himself transgender and another who called herself non-binary, became a bit more pointed during the Q&A. I was happy to answer their questions. So happy, in fact.
You know, it's kind of YouTube is so fucking weird. I don't get it. So like, I can't make videos bullying Nazis on VR chat that are showing up to like LGBT spaces and like harassing people. I can't make a video bullying those people, but like Michael Knowles can like dedicate an entire channel to like hyper fixating on how like transgender wokeness is like raping children or some fucking crazy shit. Like that shit makes still to this day that shit makes no fucking sense to me whatsoever. Like I don't understand. I feel like being a part of media like gives you like a kind of a stupid fucking pass. Like okay, fine. It's so dumb. Like I hate this like exclusivity that fucking media gets when it comes to like covering content on YouTube. Like you're allowed to do and say some of the most insane shit ever as long as you're tied to a media organization. Like it's so fucking dumb. I hate it.
That we all decided to sit down and have a conversation after the event.
Oh,
So
this
fucking
was like
elitist.
they were so interested in how like aggressive Demi and their friend came at them that they're like, I want to talk to you even more. Let's sit down and let's have a conversation. Oh, this is gonna be good.
Demi,
Demi,
Ferris, first of all, thank you for coming to the lecture, and then thank you for your questions, and then for sitting down. I take it you did not agree with me coming in. Did I persuade either of
No.
no.
you? No. No. Okay.
No
Is
surprise.
that really
there.
funny?
The topic of the conversation was abortion. You
Like
asked
what?
about transgenderism.
I did.
I didn't persuade you on that.
No, not really.
When did you start to identify as a woman?
What makes you say that I identify as a woman? Because I actually didn't assert that.
I don't know.
Is it just pattern recognition? Do I just look like one of the transits?
You're wearing a dress.
Yo, going in strong. Going in strong.
Oh wait, that's a soundbite. All right.
Jeez.
It was
Yeah.
the first hint.
Yeah. Have you
Drag.
heard of a femboy? Do you know what that means?
Oh God.
Now I have, but I don't know what it means.
Okay. It's
That's a
feminine
lie.
men who wear a lot of dresses.
That's a lie.
It's cool.
But
We can literally look at the fucking statistics. Okay, that's a lie. Listen, all the red states, they love fucking femboy and trans porn. Okay, he knows exactly what femboys are. He's lying.
I'm not a femboy. I identify as a trans woman.
Okay, so I was right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You were
Literally just fucking with him. Literally just fucking with him at that point. That's so funny. This reminds me of that dude
That's
who
so
made
funny.
a found footage horror film in Disney World, and he kept trying to milk the "ooh, Disney's gonna sue me."
How
for
fast is his
publicity.
chat going?
then Disney just ignored him. Yeah, pretty much.
But a femboy is different than a trans.
Yes, they are. They're
Oh
quite
wow. Oh, so he knows. Wait, what the fuck? So wow, that's interesting. So he knows. That's crazy. So he knows that they're two completely separate things. Wow.
What's the difference?
So a femboy still retains their male identity and pursues femininity, whereas a trans woman actually identifies as a woman.
What does that mean, though? If you if I pursue Sicilian identity, then I would identify as Sicilian.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But then, if a femboy pursues feminine identity, he would identify as female.
You would identify as feminine, not necessarily female. I don't think.
It's not the same thing. Like, there are plenty of like people out there who like may identify as being a man, but they appreciate like.
Yeah, Tipster lost out. Tipster lost out on his one and only femboy, token femboy, and his fucking shit. All because of why? Because of why? I'm already tipsy. Because I dare question his queen. I dare question his queen and her authority.
The appearance of feminine, like, you know, characteristics. Like maybe they like, you know, something about women's clothing, or maybe they like painting their nails, or maybe they like, you know, doing their makeup up or something like that. But they still very much identify with the fact that they're a man. You know, that doesn't make you trans just because maybe you like to dress, you know, in a dress from time to time, or do some makeup and, you know, paint your nails and stuff like that. That doesn't necessarily make you a trans woman.
And everyone at the Daily Wire would agree that feminine and female are not synonymous.
Well, men can be effeminate.
Yeah,
actually,
effeminate.
but that's different than feminine.
Feminine. How would you define feminine?
What kind of retarded assertion is that? Well, people can be effeminate, but that doesn't necessarily make them feminine. Effeminate means that you're feminine. That's what. Do you understand fucking English, Michael? Did you not have that explained to you in Catholic school? When the fucking pastor was... Okay, no. Let's not do that. Let's not go there.
Feminine is good, and it's what women are when they act like women. And effeminate is bad, and it's what men are when they act like women.
Why?
So, yeah,
why would that be bad?
Yeah, Tipster, why?
Why?
That's a good
I mean,
question.
unless
Wow,
you're
stealing
like,
my fucking...
you know, homophobic, transphobic,
Stealing
you
my
know,
shit,
all of
bro.
those, you know, phobes,
Yanking my swag,
essentially.
bro.
Why would it be bad for a man, or really anyone, to express themselves that way? You know?
Say a femboy is a boy who is effeminate.
Well, then
a trans woman actually doesn't retain the male identity. And
Chasing Dopamine in the chat says she's amazing. Now I simp for Demigloom. Oh my god.
Stop being horny.
God damn it.
All right, that's another one. That's a soundbite.
Okay, so then to loop back around to my first question, when did you start to identify as transgender?
Shuggin in the chat says Michael Knowles loves femboys.
Where am I going?
I mean, he is
What?
he is giving you know, the eyes to Demi. Although Demi did say they're not a femboy.
Why are
to be
we
clear,
psychoanalyzing this dumb fucking shit, dude? This is so stupid. Like, I made a joke that Michael knows what femboys are, but like, that I don't know. That just, it feels like, oh, do you want to fuck them? You want to fuck them? Like, come on, like, slow your fucking roll, bro. All right.
He is giving quite some interesting, you know, looks over to Demi. So
Oh, would it take one to know one, Tipster? Are you very familiar with what that look looks like, bro? Is that what you're trying to say? What you trying to say with that, bro? What do you mean by that?
Between my identity and the body that I was given and the roles that.
How do you know what that look looks like, bro?
That mismatch was pretty clear from a very young age.
Is that how you look at
I'm not
fucking
gonna
couples?
Pretend that I was a woman all along. You know, I was born with a female brain, but I'd say probably since around 4K. You know, like school.
4K?
Like 4-year-old kindergarten, like preschool.
Okay. What do you think caused it? If you say you weren't, you know, it's not like you were born in the wrong body.
They put something in the water.
I think
That's
it's
what caused it.
quite simple, really. I think some people like ketchup and some people don't. You know, I wanted to live my life.
That's a
this
bad
way.
comparison.
I wanted to pursue
If I
these
had to
characters.
actually compare it to something, it'd be like, I would probably ask Michael something along the lines of, do you think a man is less of a man if he likes rock, if he likes metal, and you know, not like Christian whatever, like it's simple. It's just a matter of preference, right? Like I don't think pointing it out to be like, you know, relegating it to just like, it's just like ketchup or mustard. Do you prefer ketchup or mustard? Like it's a bit more nuanced than that. I think, you know, comparing like style is more appropriate, because that's really what it is at the end of the day.
These traits.
No, I'm
It's
not
just,
denying
this
that
is
you-
like I like presenting
there's
myself
a lot
this way.
of like, you know, the common go-to that a lot of like people who aren't super knowledgeable of like trans issues go to is obviously like gender dysphoria is like a common thing that people will say is a reason why people will transition, right? But there's a number of different reasons. Like even me, when I first started learning about
When he first started
trans issues and whatnot, I always thought it was just like a gender dysphoria thing. But that's not the case. You know, there's various different reasons why someone might choose to transition. Maybe they just feel more comfortable with a feminine identity, or maybe, you know, it is gender dysphoria. There's a lot of different reasons that people might choose to do so. But
I love how Tipster is a trans
that I
expert
want
now.
to, yeah.
But I'm just kind of asking why.
Yeah, I mean, I think the same reason why anybody identifies
and by the way, no matter what the reason is, I think they're all valid.
as the gender.
Oh, because it was such a mystery.
kinda- it
The
just
fact
kinda
the fact
just
that
feels kinda-
your Twitter is literally nothing but virtue signaling for like everything trans related. If that wasn't a dead giveaway, Tipster, thanks for the fucking clarification.
natural.
When did you publicly start doing it?
I'd say I came out as trans to.
I don't know,
everyone except
Michael.
for my family members,
When was the last time I
because
fucked your
it
mom?
wasn't safe in my household.
Where it wasn't safe.
I don't know, man.
Why wasn't it safe?
Yeah.
I don't want to get into the grotesque details.
Because
but
people
I
like
was
you,
in a pretty
Michael.
abusive
Say it.
household.
People like you.
My father was not very accepting, but my mother.
Do you think maybe that might have had anything to do with, you know, all of
No,
this?
the abuse
No,
and whatnot.
they
didn't
literally
really-
said the
I don't
opposite. They
see-
said that they felt this way. They felt like they were born that way, and it was something that was inalienable that they couldn't, they couldn't take away from themselves. They couldn't ignore that part of themselves, and that their father was like Michael is doing the same fucking retarded psychoanalyzing that Tipster was just doing.
That in my gender
It's just,
identity.
it's
I
so
could
dumb.
see
It's
the
so
look
dumb
on
to
your
get that
face.
deep
Because
about
I've
it.
just
See the
heard.
talking point.
I've
yeah.
heard. It's not just. I mean, I've just heard it from people who have detransitioned, or that sometimes.
Yeah,
they
all the
feel
all the
Yeah, I don't
fucking
like,
100
trust me,
people
I'm
that
not-
have
I'm not-
I've never
detransitioned.
liked
Yeah, we
this,
go there.
like, you'll see this a lot with conservative types where they'll try to make it a thing about like, oh, well, this person was, abused as a child or sexually abused as a child or something like that, and that's why they're gay or that's why they're trans or something along those lines. And like, I don't like to, I don't think it's appropriate to play with those kind of ideas. Thank you very much for the bit. I do appreciate it. But yeah, I don't think that that's really appropriate to play with those kind of ideas, because it just seems like another way that they try to invalidate the feelings that these people have and the gender expression that these people are feeling. I just don't think it's appropriate.
Not proud to say that I grew up in an abusive household. And
Oh,
also
like
happen to be trans.
you know what else isn't appropriate, Tipster? Jerking off to Lolicon, right? It wasn't very appropriate that Vosh did that. I really wish someone on his side of the aisle would call him out for it. Like just somebody, just anybody, right? Somebody that's so outspoken about I don't condone Lolicon. Let me. Someone who might have said something like, give me 1 second. Someone who might have said, I'm anti-lolly, I'm anti-CP, I'm anti-adult child sexual relationships. Someone who said that, if only they were a lot more outspoken about that kind of repugnant behavior. Fuck.
I don't want to fuel that statistic, but I'm also not going to be dishonest about my upbringing.
Yeah. Now you are not trans.
I am.
You're just. A,
Knowing what gender you want to be at 4 years old, I don't know, to be honest.
Wait,
at
okay.
4,
Oh, no.
kids.
I don't know. I don't know if non-binary is trans. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. All right, I'm gonna be honest. I don't think it's trans. I don't think you could just declare yourself trans just because you're non-binary. That. I guess it really depends. I don't know. Like you're like a demi girl or something like that, but you're like AMAB or some shit. Like, I don't fucking know. Leave me alone, bro. Fuck. Off. Jesus.
Want to be all sorts of things. I guess I'm a girl. It's a girl thing. Just stuck for them. You'll hear like from a lot of like trans people that will transition later in life. They'll talk about the fact that they realize.
Dude, he's a
there was
trans
something
expert now. It
different
only
about
took
them
him a
at
year, and he
very,
just
very
understands
young
the
age.
whole.
Now
he
that doesn't
understands
necessarily
everything.
mean that they're choosing at that age to transition. A lot of them won't transition until like much later in life. Like, I hope Trans Girl Jade doesn't mind me sharing this, but Trans Girl Jade has shared with me that they were a very young child when they felt like something was different about them as well. But it wasn't until much, much later in life that they actually went through the process of transitioning. I don't remember the exact age, but I want to say it was like somewhere around 30s, 40s, something like that. But yeah, you know, just because somebody might feel that something is different about them at a very young age like that, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to go through the process of transitioning that early. Now, granted, if somebody is a child and they choose to transition at a young age, you know, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, and it's great if their family is very supportive of that decision. But having said that, you know, a lot of people will tell you their story that, like, yeah, I felt like there was something different about me when I was very, very young, but I didn't transition until much later in life, if that makes sense.
You're trans too?
Mm-hmm.
No, you're not.
I am.
Well, so what are you?
I'm non-binary.
Oh, all right. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but you're not saying you're a man.
I'm not saying I'm a man now.
And you would have at some point in your life said you were a woman.
I
Dude,
don't think
how
I ever
the
said I
fuck
was a
have
woman.
these people been talking about this shit for like over like 2 years now, and they're still like feigning ignorance? Like, how do you still not understand it? Like, even if you don't agree, like at this fucking point in time, you should probably understand what this fucking bullshit means, right? Like, you've been talking about it for literally like 2 or 3 years now. Like you think by now they would catch on?
Amen.
Like, Jesus
A little
Christ,
girl.
dude.
I don't know.
Sure, yeah.
You did, okay. But then when did you decide you're non-binary?
I didn't know what transgender or non-binary was until I was 14, 15.
Most people had not heard of it
Yeah.
until recently.
I mean, it existed, but I hadn't heard of it.
I suppose we'll perhaps agree to disagree on that.
Oh my God, Jesus, he's so fucking insufferable. I'll be honest.
How does that
like, when it
make him
comes to something
insufferable?
like
I don't know. I don't know
non-binary,
if that statement is whatever. I'm not gonna.
I
nitpick that
don't
hard.
really understand like what it like. I can comprehend in my mind like what it means to be someone who was born a male and like later identifies as like a female.
Wow, he's
or,
copying
like,
my
born
take
female and
again.
Later identifies as male, etc. I can wrap my mind around that. I don't really understand like what it feels like to identify, or I can't really comprehend what it feels like to be non-binary. And having said that, I'm not invalidating non-binary people. Obviously, I'm accepting of non-binary people. I think that non-binary.
He's still. How are you still walking on eggshells, bro? Like that should kind of scream out to you. That the fact that you feel like you need to still continue walking on eggshells, like over this shit. That should tell you, like, maybe I'm in the wrong circle. Maybe I'm in the wrong group of people.
etc. I'm just being honest. Like, I don't really understand it, but it doesn't mean that those people aren't valid. Just because you don't understand their lived experience, it
Another
doesn't mean
brave
that they
take from
aren't
Tipster.
valid. But in any case, just thought I would kind of share my thoughts on that.
Guys,
don't
didn't
think
you
it
know
existed
Tipster supports
until recently?
No, I
The-
think people
the-
have been
the
confused
LGBT community. Don't you
about
know he
their
supports
sex,
that?
and I think they've had all sorts of aberrant.
I hope he made that
desires
clear
all
for
of
you guys.
history.
I hope you
But I don't-
now.
I
I
don't
hope
think
you
it's
now
really
understand that he's supportive of the
Abhorrent
LGBTs.
desires. There's
Okay.
so many people who try to make being like trans as something about being sexual. And it's just like, even if you're looking at cis people, okay? Being like a man or a woman isn't like in itself like a sexual thing. Now, obviously, you know, people have sex. This is true. I mean, it's a pretty normal thing for people to do, but simply existing as the
Sex
gender
is a normal
you are,
thing
whether
to
it's
do?
the
I
gender
don't
you
know,
were
man.
born with or the gender you
Can
choose
you really
later
be
in life
saying
because
that?
you choose to transition or something like that. It's not inherently a sexual thing. And like the
I feel like when I attack him like that, it feels almost too low, you know? Cause like, it feels almost too low. Like, there's an obvious reason why he continues to flirt with other people and shit like that. Like, I don't know. I don't know if him and his fucking wife's relationship is too high. Like, I don't know. I'm not a fly on the wall. I don't know exactly how his relationship is with his fucking wife, but I can't imagine. I personally wouldn't be happy if my partner was going behind my back and flirting around recklessly with a bunch of people and then trying to pass it off as like a joke when after getting caught doing it, right? You know, and then now after he's been caught doing it so many times, he's pretty much doing it openly because he knows like he's just like it's just normalized. Like, I don't know. To me, that just doesn't like they're still monogamous. Like if they were open, okay, sure, whatever, but they're not. They're monogamous, right?
goal behind that by making
I
it
don't know.
a sexual thing is they're trying to make it seem degenerate. Okay, so then they can kind of like try again to find a way to invalidate it. If they can make people believe that it's a degeneracy thing, then they can invalidate it in the minds of people who are either bigoted just like they are, or people who don't know any better, right? Normies who don't
I'm
really
listening to a fucking
understand
5-year-old
it, can't
explain
comprehend it, that sort of
basic
thing.
shit.
Basically. So I don't mean it in any disrespectful way.
Did Michael Knowles get confused about his sex after filming the gay college film? You know, that's a good question, actually, Shooken. Round of applause for that question. That was actually a good question.
Round of applause for that
It's a good
question.
way of putting it.
Whoa! Oh, that's a soundbite.
Trashgo Jay says, I hate Michael Knowles so much. Oh, don't we all?
I just don't think, I don't think it's possible to have a male body but be a
Like, let me
female.
put it this way. I wouldn't trust Tipster to be able to articulate why trans rights matters. I don't think he actually understands why. Oh. Blah, blah, bitch. Okay.
Because I don't think that's how body and soul or how identity actually works.
So I think what weird.
Why not?
Weasley little liar, dude.
Oh, is that
Thank
another?
you so much for that soundbite. I do appreciate it.
Oh, okay.
Perfect
Well, it
timing.
still counts.
But I don't understand like how difficult. I'll say
God.
this, okay? Before, like, I've always been supportive of like trans people as far as I've known that trans people
Always?
have existed.
Always. Dude, we are witnessing live right now in front of 4 people historical revisionism. He always supported trans people? Really? I don't recall that being the case. I remember in private, Tipster would talk about how he would hang out in alt-right groups. He would watch the Kill Stream. He watched Medicare. He was a fan of a lot of those people. He was a fan of Keemstar. He was deeply entrenched in the conservative ideological echo chamber. Really? You always were supportive of trans people? Always? Tipster, what happened? What happened to those? Let's look this up real quick. I found something really, really interesting. What happened here? What happened to slightly over 500,000 views, Tipster? What happened to those videos? Why did those videos get deleted? What happened to 100,000 views here? What happened? He was always supportive of trans people. What? It's almost like he's covering something up. He's such a, I don't know why he can't, because he was honest about it in private. That's the thing. He was honest about it in private. He would talk about how, fucking in the Discord that Keffels invited me to, in that fucking Discord, he would talk about how he was like in these same groups that I was in. I wasn't always supportive of trans people. Like, it's just tiny things like that. He's like a fucking snake shedding its skin. Like, he literally cannot be honest.
But it doesn't mean I've always like understood things, right? But like, I feel like when you bring it out as
it
like,
sounds so minor. It sounds so tiny and small and insignificant. But I think all these tiny lies add up to just like this big fucking. It's just like this big persona that he's constructing for himself. That's just not. It's not true. It's not honest, right?
like it's your identity. It's what you identify as. It's how you express yourself,
the same to
etc.
me.
It's really not
Dude,
that difficult.
What really made me want to look into Tipster's past more critically was hearing people going down the same fucking road that I was going down. Like I was experiencing like this sort of like I don't know how to explain it, but in those leaked DMs, you could literally see it happening. Like I was like, come on, you don't actually, you're probably just upset that people are just trying to cancel Vosh. Like you probably don't like canceling, right? This is what this is about. This is why you're so heavily uncritical of Vosh's actions, because you just don't like people canceling people. Like is this what it is? I was so desperate to make any sort of reason about it, but it's just like, no, he literally just like, he's just biting the bullet. He's biting the lolicon bullet. And hearing Krista Nark and Boblax and Nick literally explain exactly what I was experiencing at that moment, I was just like, fuck me, dude. This dude's whole life is a lie. His whole entire life is a lie.
To kind of wrap your head around, you know? The same way like somebody might identify as like, hey, I'm a gamer. I enjoy playing video games, and so I consider myself a gamer. Or, you know, you might identify as a musician because you like making music or something like that. It's not, if you
I don't know if
really
being trans
think
is the same
about
as
it
being
on
a
its
fucking
most,
musician,
like
Tipster.
basic, like core idea of what like identity is, it's really not that different than any of those things. It's just a case of like, yeah, you know, I was born.
I don't know.
You know,
I feel like
in the
being
case
trans
of,
is
you
a
know,
bit more deeply
someone who's
ingrained
male
than
to
a
female.
fucking
I was
talent.
born a man, sure, but I better identify with the characteristics of a woman, and therefore I'm going to transition to being a woman, and I identify as a woman. It's not that difficult, right? There's been many times that Tipster has come to me asking questions. It's always best to ask someone for clarification than to hold on to a bigoted opinion that's fed by
Does he agree with this? Let me guess. He complained a lot in private. You slightly criticized him for something, and he got literally, yeah. Go watch my It's on my channel. It's why Tipster burnt the bridge with me. Literally, that's what happened. Literally, that's what happened. Like I told him. I'm trying to think of verbatim what I said. I fucking look it up right now. Let's see right now what I said because I still have the DMs. I said this. I was already kind of like being pretty critical of him. Fuck. I don't know if I want to show the fucking Discord DMs like on stream. I don't want to like ask. Like I don't think it'll show anything like on my Discord tab. It won't, but I don't fucking risk it. He even sounds so greasy to describe this. He clearly doesn't believe it. He might actually believe it, but it seems so just, he like constantly changes it, you know, constantly. What bothers me is that he pretends like he was always like this. Like he was always this person. It's like, no, you weren't. If anything's been consistent about you, it's that you're consistently inconsistent. I said basically like, don't you think there may be some vital context missing though? Like, I don't think you should address any of this shit on stream, but I think it warrants some introspection on how you approach situations like this. Like, you do jump to the gun to defend people way too quickly. Sometimes the best thing to do is just wait. And he says, I said my piece on stream, and he's like giving me sass in the fucking DMs. He said, I said my piece on stream last night and I'm done with this topic, just waiting for Vosh's response. And I stand by everything I said in that video. I don't give a fuck when some shithead commentary bro thinks about it. He's referring to Nick there. And then I give him the heads up. I said, just a heads up, I'm going to make a video talking about the Vosh shit and my frustrations with you and Keffels defending it, as well as obfuscating on behalf of him. It's not going to be a hit piece or anything. I don't even know how to make those, but I have to really ask a few things before I write the segment on you. Why the fuck did you ever think it was a good idea to just blindly take Vosh's word for it? Like, I have to know. And I just basically go into that. You can watch the fucking video. I could literally go over everything. I show everything. And I'm genuinely trying to understand his position. I'm not even necessarily harping on him too hard here. But then he just blows up to me and says, I already said I'm not commenting on this shit anymore. I said everything I said about it. And then I said, okay, then I have to speculate because you're not fucking telling me. You're not telling me. I just needed to know why you went out of your way to do it. You never explained that. And then he just fucking blocks me pretty much after that. Oh, no. Actually, no. He blocks me when I mention Keffels. He blocks me when I say, okay, I'll just leave this topic on this. I could tell you genuinely care about your friends, arguable to a fault. If I were you, I'd start slowly distancing myself from Keffels, because if she sinks, she'll drag you down with her. Just keep in mind how she reacted when it blew up in her face. And he says, and yet Keffels has been the one by my back this whole entire time. And I show him literally Keffels going behind his back, donating to Nick, and then having a private conversation with Nick. And he says, do you think I don't know about this? Or are you stupid? And he fucking blocks me. Like, it's the same shit. Like, he's
the crowd. Yeah, exactly. And that's one thing that I think has been like really great for me, because again, like I've always been, as far as I've, known that trans people have existed, I've always been supportive of them. And
no, you haven't. No, that's a fucking lie.
Again, it doesn't always
that's a
mean
motherfucking lie, dude.
Like I always understand what they're feeling and what their lived life experience is. So that's one thing I've been very grateful for, is that a lot of the trans people in my life have been very open to responding to questions. I think that conservatives will also often give you this idea that like trans people are very like standoffish and like they just want to find an excuse to be offended by things and stuff like that. And that's not to say that there aren't people in the trans community like that do exist, but I feel like it's very, very few and far between, because my experience communicating with people in the trans community is they're very open to answering questions. In fact, they actually appreciate it when you're someone who wants to understand their lived life experience. And so they actually encourage asking questions, as long as you're not doing it in a bad faith way that's only intending to upset them or, you know, mock them or something like that, as long as you're like legitimately asking questions in a way that you truly want to understand, you know, what their live life experience is, they're very receptive to answering your questions. So I want to give a big shout out to, you know, Trans Girl Jade and pretty much anybody else that I've ever asked a question and they didn't
Number
get
one
offended
tip
by
simp.
it. Round of
Yo,
applause to them.
real talk. How? Okay, that's another soundbite. Gotta take a drink. How long do you think it'll be until Trans Girl Jade turns on Tipster? That might happen. Yeah, pretty much with my story, difference in details, of course. I'll watch it later. He is indifferent at the best back in the days. I don't know. He told me differently in private. And it adds up. It adds up too. Cause like cause here's the thing, me and Tipster were literally in the same fucking spaces. He watched a lot of Medicare. I was a huge Medicare fan. I still am. I still like Medicare. Well, he's transphobic. I don't agree with him on that, but I respect him as a creator. I think he's pretty funny and he's generally right when it comes to certain dramas. But he was also watching the kill stream and stuff like that. I just highly doubt existing in that circle that you had a positive impression of trans people. Like, no, you fucking didn't, and you told me as much.
Transgenderism, let's just say, as an ideology, has existed for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
The first books that were burned in the Holocaust were about transgender people, about sexual studies.
Well, yeah, there was all sorts of sort of sexual, and it goes back obviously much further than the 1940s. People had these desires, but it is I suppose that.
Oh, so he's aware. So Michael knows he's aware. Okay.
Existed for all of history, always been sort of, you know, cabarets and red light districts and things like that. But the ideology
he compares it to a red light district. Are you fucking kidding me? Dude?
A man could say he really is a woman. Or
it's not an ideology. Again,
oh yeah,
like,
red light
many,
district's
like,
been around for a while.
Terms and the way they word things and stuff like that, it's very much meant to invalidate the existence. If you could just pass it off as like an ideology, then again, you can convince people who either are bigoted, just like you in the case of Michael Knowles, or you can convince people who maybe don't necessarily know any better. You can convince them that these people's existence aren't valid because it's just an ideology. It's not the case. It's just people and their identity and what makes them feel comfortable. And like I said, I've said this like a dozen times before when covering these kind of issues. Even if you don't understand the struggles that trans people face every day, or what it's like to be trans, or what gender dysphoria is, or, you know, even if you don't understand these things, the way I've always kind of looked at it, even before I knew as much as I know now, why does it matter to you? At the end of the day, we all live our lives and we all enjoy the things we enjoy and we all live the experiences we experience, you know? I grew up as, you know, a cis man who was, you know,
religious.
When I was younger, I was a fan of skateboarding, I was a fan of video games, I was a fan of hip-hop music, and all of these things that I enjoyed and I considered a part of myself were part of my identity growing up. You know, all my interests, all my, you know, the kind of clothes I like to wear, the kind of things that I like to enjoy, etc. These were part of my identity, and it's my lived experience. And nobody would have an issue with me living my life the way I choose to live my life, right? Why do we care how these people are choosing to live their lives? It doesn't affect you personally. You know, it's not bothering you in any way. You know, like, even if, like, let's say, I'll use Trans Girl Jaden as an example. I'm sorry.
Again? Oh my God, bro.
Jade. But, you know, let's say Trans Girl Jade and I never met. We never became friends or anything like that. Trans Girl Jade's existence doesn't affect me at all in those circumstances. So if I were someone that didn't understand the trans existence, why would I care? It's just so bizarre to me that there are people that exist that give so much of a shit about how other people are just trying to live their lives.
My stance on trans people is that they could do what they want with their body, but shouldn't start transitioning before 18. Yeah, that's I don't know if you're too aware of it, but that's literally what the DSM-5 says. The DSM-5 says you shouldn't do they say top surgery for females. So like people with the X chromosome. They say top surgery is fine, but bottom surgery should be reserved for above 18.
It's insane to me.
Or a woman could say she really is multiple, they or them or not either a man or a woman. That's a relatively new ideology.
No.
Not the behavior, but
We have, looking back, I mean, obviously...
I mean, he's Michael is kind of right. Like, the term non-binary is a new term. That is a new term, absolutely. But the concept of non-binary is not, right? I think that should be stated for nuance.
It's kind of shaky just because, we aren't able to preserve text that long, and maybe text even didn't exist, but...
they did exist. We actually have...
Not for all of human history.
Well, thousands of years, yeah, but not like...
Oh, not going back to Adam in the garden. That's probably true.
Not going back to this fictional story in a 1,000-year-old book written by pothead, pot-smoking nomads in the desert. Yeah, I gotcha.
In traditionally female clothing and attire in burial, and we have the same vice versa. People, this is one of the specific examples I'm thinking of was...
this is a common thing that they're like, when they do these like in-person debates or whatever, they want to ask these like on-the-spot questions. Hey, if you're like super knowledgeable, then maybe you'll be able to cite this stuff that you're referring to, and you can give a quick answer and rebuttal, and that's great. But the thing is, like, not everybody is going to be able to have that type of like memory where they can recall instantly like that. And so the idea is they're trying to like trip you up and make it seem like you're just pulling shit out of your ass, right? Like you're just saying like, oh yeah, trans people have existed all throughout history. And it's like, well, where? And if you can't give an answer, well, I'm not sure at the moment, but I know I've seen examples of that.
I mean,
it just makes it look like you're lying, right? Because you can't instantly
he only sometimes has dead air,
back up the statement you're making. And at the end of the day, like, it's one thing if you're debating someone, in an internet space. There's a lot of debate bro types on the internet who will do these online debates about these types of topics. And like, if you're sitting in front of your computer, you might be able to pull up a study or something or some kind.
Tipster isn't that good at rebuttals, at least not good ones. Yeah, that's true. Bro, oh my fucking god, you're gonna make me go back into the fucking DMs again. You remember when he got put on the streamies? When he got put on the fucking streamies? Oh my god. Okay. I am so tempted to leak this. I don't know if he ever posted this. I'm so tempted to leak this. I'm trying to measure how much do I hate Tipster. Oh no! I forgot he did that. Oh, should I leak that? Oh yeah. I don't. I'm gonna just say this. It has to do with Keemstar. It has to do with Keemstar, and it's a joke about Keemstar. Okay. Don't leak unless you're sure it's worth it. It might be better to wait for the right moment. Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah, you're right. I shouldn't leak it. It just shows that he's just a fucking hypocrite. Like he's like, people criticizing Keem's relationship with Brantley, calling him a pedophile. That's really bullshit. And then he does that. And then he said he shows me like a drafted tweet, and he's like, "Oh, should I send it? Do I dare send it?" And I tell him he shouldn't, and then he doesn't. Fuck, where is it? He sent me yes, this. Oh my god. Okay, I can show this. Okay, he showed me the draft to this tweet. Fucking. That tweet, that famous fucking cringy ass tweet. He sent me that, and I tried to tell him something along the lines of, you need to think better about your words, because this isn't the own that you think it is. And then he sends it anyways. I tried to save him from doing this, dude. Ooh. I tried to save him. You can't help him, bro. You just cannot. That's not really a leak. It's just like, yeah, we talked about, you literally can't fix him. Yeah, you're right. You literally can't. I literally, my response to this, I say, I mean, he's mad. Let him mauled and cope. So basically tell him don't post it. And he fucking does it anyways. Oh my God.
Kind of, you know, source
Can't
that
fix
can
him.
back
Can't
up the
fix him.
claim that
You
you're
cannot
making.
fix what is
You're just
broken.
sitting there, you know, in a concert hall, and you're just answering
Cannot fix
questions back and
what
forth
is
like
foo
that.
bar, bro.
Like, how are you going to pull up that information very quick and easily there? Like, you can't. And so they're hoping that they can trip them up in order to make it seem like, oh, they're just pulling shit out of their ass. So
Norse. There was a female skeleton that was
I'm out here
buried
doing my dance,
with,
my jig even.
traditionally
Sipping My Mojo in the chat says, my thoughts are to be whatever you want to be. I'm happy for you. Yeah, that's how it should be.
Yeah, that's how it
Even
should
if you
be.
don't
Yes, Vosh, if you're a pedophile, that's okay. You could just be honest. You know, we'll defend you. We'll defend you. We'll act like, you know, is it really a kid? I mean, sure, they have neonate features and they, you know, they have a huge head, big eyes, a small neck. You know, they have every feature that gives the indication that they are a child. But I mean, is it really a child? You know, Vosh, just be open and proud about who you are. Don't hide it.
Understand what it means
We'll
to
defend
be
you
trans
anyways.
person, or what things like gender dysphoria are and stuff like that. I feel like that's the right approach. You don't have to be an expert on trans people to respect them and to think that their existence is
Actually,
valid.
arguably, you do. Because every time Tipster gets into this trans shit, because here's the thing, it's so easy for him to go on his stream with his sycophantic fucking audience and then virtue signal all fucking day. But when push comes to shove, when Tipster inevitably gets into a fucking conflict with some fucking transphobic person, he's gonna make the community look bad because he's uninformed, right? He just barely made it out of a debate with like a fucking Poncho fan, like just barely. And even then, Poncho's like literally the bottom of the barrel. Like he's as dumb as they fucking get. Like,
You know, just treat. At the end of the day, they're people, and they should be treated like people, just like anybody else. So I never understand these people who, like, if you go on a platform like Twitter, there
These
are
people.
people.
What do you mean these people?
All their
Tipster?
existence on Twitter is seeking out trans people to harass or being
You
extremely.
could just cut that. Let's go back a second.
Twitter. There are
Go on a
people
platform
that
like Twitter. There are
all
people
their
that
existence
all
on
their
Twitter
existence
is seeking
is
out
seeking out trans people. That's you. You just described yourself, Tipster. Good job.
trans people to harass or being extremely bigoted and things of that nature. Like, that's their only existence on social media. And I don't understand how unhinged of a person you have to be for that to be your existence. They're just people. Just treat them like fucking people, even if you don't understand it. You know what I mean?
male burial rites and clothing.
How do they know the skeleton's female?
Well, I said female because obviously I believe that gender is something social rather than just biological, but
the scientists were able to identify it by the skeleton.
We know that
here we
sex
go.
is
The same
unambiguous.
fucking.
That's, I don't think we're denying that.
Stupid
there's
argument.
this odd idea
That's
among
another thing. They'll often kind of try to conflate like sex with gender, and sex and gender are not the same thing. They're two completely different things. But yeah.
Articulate it.
Narratives that
No,
transgender
what the
people
fuck?
don't-
Explain. So unlike Tipster, I'll fucking explain. Okay, the difference between sex and gender is sex is indicative of biology. It describes your biology. It describes these biological traits that you can't necessarily alienate, at least not yet. So like XY chromosomes, XX chromosomes, you know, and even then, sometimes it's not even indicative of your gender because some people can have two X chromosomes but have an extra Y chromosome and they were born a male, right? Like, is that a woman or is that a male? Like, fucking, who fucking knows, right? You know, biology is just as like gray as gender. Well, arguably gender is more gray than fucking biology, but gender is more like your social expression of those of the spectrum of masculinity and femininity. People fall along the line of that spectrum, however fucking which way. See, I can articulate it. I don't think Tipster could ever articulate it like that. Is Tipster a chaser? Yeah. I think he's a chaser. I think he is. I remember when people used to say grow a set Oh, grow up hair when you get bullied. That still holds true. Yeah, I think people have gotten actually soft. People have gotten so fucking soft, dude. Wait, why isn't this showing up on stream? I see your comment in the fucking thing, but I don't see it on the stream. There are only 2 sexes. The one I have here with your mom. Yeah, good one. Haha.
Understand that biological sex exists, or that we're deluded.
Some don't. That we,
or that
some don't. Some do. You obviously do, but some don't.
no.
What is he talking about?
Yeah,
What?
I have yet to meet anybody.
I've yet to meet
I've
anyone
seen people
who's
clipped out of
genuinely-
context to look like that, but I haven't.
Those people are talking to me. I mean, these are people. I promise you, I've spoken to these people on camera in some cases.
Yeah, and you.
but anyways,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
don't-
It's almost
you
like they're
don't.
referring to you clipping people out of context. Wow,
I've been
insane,
heavily
crazy.
wrong.
Wow.
Who felt that way.
I'm actually surprised that Knowles uploaded this so far. Demi and her friend are coming off really well. Yeah, they're actually doing really well in this. You know, typically what you want to see, or what they want to see rather, is they want to be able to like misrepresent the conversation in a way that makes it look like, you know, their guests don't know what the fuck they're talking about, or they're just like,
Damn, if that was the case, they
looking
should bring you on,
unhinged, right?
Tipster.
Like, that's typically the goal.
Fuck.
But no, they actually look really well in this conversation. It looks like they're being very
doing
respectful
fine,
during the
yeah.
conversation as well. It's not the typical, like, you know, SJW clip.
I would
that they'll upload where it
say
looks like an unhinged
here's
person
my
that's-
criticism. I'm not even being nitpicky. I think they could be a little bit more assertive of their belief, because it's not that Michael's necessarily walking over them, but it's just they're letting him necessarily get away with making ridiculous claims that I know, being in the circle that they were in, I know they could refute that shit. But I guess they're trying really hard not to come off as like too aggressive, which
just
is like
there
fair.
to be triggered and angry, right?
optimal.
It's not that at all. So I have to agree with you. I genuinely think it's kind of interesting that they uploaded this. I will say this though, and I forgot to show this earlier. Apparently there was some manipulation of the clips that did happen though. Let me see if I could find that.
Go figure.
I meant to show this earlier and I totally forgot. But here we have the tweet I showed earlier. This is where I referenced the fact that they changed the title. We have this conversation between this person. T is a comics Loki fan, and Demigloom. His face annoys me for some reason, so I don't want to watch the video. Can you tell me how that went? Laughing my ass off. The whole conversation was him mischaracterizing what we said and us clarifying what we meant and him saying, oh, okay. So it just... the conversation is just kind of weird, but in any case, let's continue.
Way.
You're non-binary.
Uh-huh.
You said that you came to this realization at 14. What do you think kind of pushed you over that edge at 14?
I think
Huh.
intense
Fluoride.
emotional distress at the prospect of needing to navigate through life being someone's daughter, someone's sister, someone's girlfriend.
Don't say
someone's
that,
wife,
because I already know.
someone's
I already know how these
mother.
fucking
That's
people
just
think. I already know where his brain is going with
something
this.
That wasn't really.
It's like,
a
oh,
role
so you
that
only
I wanted
literally
to
what
fit
Michael's is thinking right now is like, oh, so you only switch your gender to make your life easier, huh? Like, yeah, that's literally what he's thinking
and
right now.
a role that I felt intensely distressed at the prospect of needing to fulfill.
Why is that?
I think, like, you know, I mentioned earlier that, like, while I do respect, obviously I respect non-binary people, and I think that their identity is
Obviously,
valid.
yeah, this is like the second time
I
you're
did
stating
mention
this,
that, you know,
Tipster.
I'm not super understanding of what it means to be, like, non-binary. Like, I can wrap my head around the concept of what it means to be, you know, trans woman or a trans man. But when it comes to non-binary, that's where things get a little bit hazy for me. I think I'd like to potentially try to look into that a little bit more in the future and try to understand what it means to be non-binary.
There's not enough
or
token
identify as
non-binary
or
people in his
what
audience
a person
to talk
feels
to.
like when they
RIP.
come to the conclusion that they are non-binary. I'm interested. I'm genuinely interested in learning more about that.
It's difficult to explain. It would be difficult to explain in a very short period of time. It's just one of those things that you feel deep down in your soul.
You mean it would be difficult to explain even to yourself, or you're just saying it would be difficult to articulate this thing that I
It's
understand?
difficult to
Motherfucker, retard. Obviously, they believe the thing that they believe in. They can fucking explain it, but you're too much of a dunce to understand it. That's what they're getting at. They're being nice, bro. There was non-binary person liked the tweet of that was sexual. What? There was a non-binary person. He liked the tweet of that was sexual. Did he? I don't know. I don't follow. Oh, Tipster? Probably. I don't know. Tipster likes slithering his way into all kinds of fucking communities that he's not necessarily a part of yet. He's following a lot of Twitch women. Dude, oh my god. So Tipster has been incessantly following a bunch of Twitch women. Incessantly. Like, you see it in his feed. He like constantly is like shouting these people are in his feed, in his streams and stuff like that. He's like rating these random like Twitch people. Like he's actually trying really hard to sneak his way back into Twitch. Through women. What about men? Why does Tipster never raid into men? Ask yourself that question. That's really interesting. He always raids into women. Why does he ever raid into men? It's interesting. Like, even started to bottom post. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, the bottom posting shit like that. Bro. That's just mega cringe, okay? Listen, I used to be that phase of femboy. Listen, the whole femboy thing is like it goes in phases. You start off as like a really fucking degenerate cringe lord, and then you just kind of get numb to it. I think at some point you become numb to it, and you're just like, okay, this whole like uwu shit is like really cringe. I need to stop doing that. I'm an adult now, okay? I'm an adult now. Let's stop doing that.
Articulate. It's kind of an abstract.
It's time to grow
thing.
up.
The cause of gender dysphoria and this discomfort with your sex assigned at birth in these roles is still pretty widely debated.
Dude, I love
even in
ripping
the
their
woke
heads off. It's so
scientific
fun.
community.
And there would seem to be, even among the pro-trans kind of woke,
Yeah.
a presumed plurality, or multiplicity, rather, of causes. Like, some people can fall into this as a bit of a sexual fetish.
He's
That
so
isn't
fixated on it.
transgender.
Oh my god. Is he
That's,
like projecting?
Guys who dress up like women will openly state that they're the Wachowski brothers, who are now the Wachowski sisters, said they fell into their transgender identity largely.
Oh,
through
okay. So like two
pornography. And,
nitpick
others will
people
say
that
as well.
you know.
Now you might
okay.
say, well, it wasn't pornography. It was because of, I wanted to wear a dress when I was 4 years old or something. But I'm just saying, in some cases, it would appear to be.
In some cases, as in like a small minority of them, but I'm gonna use
like
that
I
as
said,
the
they
basis
really
of my
wanna
entire
make
belief.
it a degeneracy thing, so they can try to invalidate it. And I see somebody asking me to hydrate. Okay, I will hydrate. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. But yeah, just trying to invalidate it as some form of degeneracy.
Caused by some condition of distress. For some people, it might be caused by any number of other factors. Again, I'm just repeating what I've heard from the left. I'm not even stating.
I mean, the material.
The left says that.
The material.
Twitter people, because that's literally where mostly everyone. It's not even. It's so funny because it's not even the right does this exclusively. The left does this a lot too. They get all their political critiques from fucking Twitter. Like, not all, like, believe it or not all conservatives are these fucking crazy, insane people. Like, some of them are just normal people, everyday people. And actually, I want to say this: the majority of conservatives probably don't give a fuck. They're probably so sick of this trans shit that, like, they hate it. They hate having it be discussed constantly. It's actually kind of funny. They're almost at the point where they're like completely okay with trans people. They're almost like, largely they're almost there, which is progress that should be celebrated. But and I think it has large part to do with the over reporting that the Daily Wire does. Like they over report on the trans shit like so fucking much. I hate this dude. He lives rent free in my head.
The material
Transgender identifying
presence
people in
of
the world.
somebody wearing
That is
a dress with a male body.
wildly false.
The material presence of a man in a woman's dress perhaps could come about as a sexual fetish. I think we agree on that, but I don't think that.
It's actually
I think
so
what we're trying to say
fulfilling.
is that that's a very different thing than we're describing.
No, but I guess that's what I'm saying too. That there are these. So we all agree there are these different causes for this kind of identity.
There's so much more to say. First, though, go to preborn.com/no.
No, thank you. We'll skip your ad. I'm not interested in your ad. Okay.
Oh, is that it?
let's,
Okay, so close.
Get back to. Here we go. Okay, let's go.
No, he's gonna summon. He's
Please,
gonna
you
summon.
can. preborn.com/Knowles. You came not to talk about transgenderism. You asked me about abortion.
Mm-hmm.
So you support abortion,
Absolutely.
and you support it. Do you support abortion? We didn't even talk about it.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
You won't need one.
No, I won't need an abortion.
And you might not either because you're transgender or non-binary.
Do you believe that transgender people are all celibate?
I'm just a little confused as to what non-binary means.
Non-binary.
Yeah,
means,
he's been in the
I'm
job. He's been in the job for like 3 years talking about trans people, but he still doesn't understand something that's been around for over 10 years. Like even started to, okay, I already said that. I thought it was like a new thing.
not a man or
Bro,
a
my
woman,
check goes so slow.
regardless
I'm taking the
of
L
what
right now.
parts I was bestowed.
I'm such a small
Okay.
streamer. I'm never gonna
What you're
make it.
saying is your body has nothing to do with whether you're a man or a woman.
Correct.
Okay.
No, don't
think
say
we
that. No,
often
I
get-
think
Yeah.
I think the distinction should be fucking made. You know, we shouldn't be conflating these two words. Male and female is in reference to biology. Man and woman is reference to gender. I think that distinction should be made very fucking clear. Because that's how they get you. It's like, well, these two things are exactly the same thing. You're using them interchangeable, and that's where they get you on that shit. That's why you need to be a lot more consistent.
It's your gender identity. It's not. Your body doesn't determine what you identify gender-wise.
Sometimes the gender identity does describe a relationship.
It's been a while
to
since you've done a
one's body,
sound
for
bit.
example.
Uber says, "I can't believe you aborted the ad." True.
Oh fuck me, dude. Really? Okay, right. Okay, fucking god. Just when I thought I was in the clear.
I'm not interested in his ad.
I'm
I'm
getting
not being
mugged.
paid to run that shit.
You know, if I were to say, I am a transgender woman, I'm directly asserting that I am.
Yeah, exactly. As trans girl Jade in the chat pointed out, sex is not equivalent to gender.
Is she like the only person in chat right now?
Genitalia.
He only refers to trans girl Jade. No, there's other people. What the fuck?
But or you could have gone under the knife and lost your male gender.
Bro, he ignores you. If you don't have a wrench,
Yeah.
So you could be asserting
might
that
as well
too.
be a
So
ghost,
I guess
bro.
that's what I'm saying. It seems like you could just
you just don't exist.
all of these terms just mean kind of whatever you want them to mean.
No, not really.
No.
It's
Pretty
just-
concrete definition.
So you just said to be a transgender woman,
Fuck.
I have to be wearing a dress or look like this. But
I didn't say I have to. I said that's just how I like.
what's
to
the
express.
concrete definition of a transgender woman?
Somebody who is assigned male at birth who identifies and pursues womanhood.
Okay. And what is womanhood? Not to sound like Walsh, but what is womanhood then? What does that
Womanhood?
mean in that statement?
I would describe womanhood as a very subjective
But you just
concept.
also said we're
Man, I imagine Jade is like a tipster stalker or something. I think she's probably like she was probably in the same situation that I was in. Like she was a part of like Keffels' community or Vosh's community or something like that. She sees this like fucking dude tipster come in, like he's like ex-commentary bro, trying to understand, you know, the movement a little bit more, you know, the whole socialist bullshit, you know, a little bit more. So she's like, okay, this guy's really chill and cool. And then she just ignores all the fucking controversial shit he did in the past. I don't know them personally. I've talked to them like maybe once or twice before. I don't know too much about them, but yeah, they're pretty much like a tipster simp. Like,
we're talking about things that are concrete,
Yeah.
and that's all. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
grab onto something. What is the actual definition of the thing that you are using to define transgenderism?
I would describe womanhood as a set of characteristics associated with females, usually.
But that's
removed from
a
sex.
circular definition, and even the way you said it,
No, it's
I would describe,
it?
but I'm not asking you to describe anything.
what is it? What did it say?
And pursues womanhood.
Okay, and what?
I'm not being paid to run that shit.
You know, if I were to say, I am a transgender woman, I'm directly asserting that I am.
Yeah, exactly. As trans girl Jade in the chat pointed out, sex
No,
is not
I don't
equivalent to
care about
gender.
your stupid
Sex is not.
fucking commentary. Just
Yeah.
So you could be asserting that too. So I guess that's what I'm saying. It seems like you could just, all of these terms just mean kind of whatever
is
you
he
want them
saying?
to mean.
No, not really.
It's
Pretty
just-
concrete definition.
So you just said
is she not making eye contact?
Transgender woman, I have to be wearing a dress or look like this, but
I didn't say I have to.
It doesn't. I think the screen is like too small. Like I can't tell if she's making eye contact.
I said that's just how I like.
what's
to
the
express.
concrete definition of a transgender woman?
Somebody who is assigned male at birth who identifies
She isn't. She's looking down at his dick. Oh, I'm kidding.
is and pursues womanhood.
Okay, and what is womanhood? Not to sound like Walsh, but what is womanhood then? What does that
Womanhood?
mean in that statement?
I would describe womanhood as a very subjective
But you just
concept.
also said we're talking about things that are concrete, and that's all. I'm just trying to grab onto something. What is the actual definition of the thing that you are using to define transgenderism?
She should be saying, okay, she should just continue saying like, well, from the way I see it, what it means to be a woman, blah 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 blah, all this kind of shit. And then she should go and like, okay, now that I've answered that, right? What is the definition of a chair? Can you define a chair to me? You know, go down that whole fucking road.
I would describe womanhood as a set of characteristics associated with females, usually.
But that's
removed from
a
sex.
circular definition.
Yeah, that's a
Even the
fair-
way you
that's a
said
fair
it.
definition.
I would describe, but I'm not asking you to describe anything. I'm
Yeah,
asking-
typically like it's based on like social norms that you would typically associate with, you know, a specific gender. So like if you're talking about a woman, for example, you know, what do you think of in our society when you think of like a woman? You think of somebody who, you know, probably most likely has longer hair, somebody who might wear makeup, somebody who might wear a dress. You know, these are the things that we associate within our society with someone who might identify as a woman. So if somebody is a transgender woman, they will often, you know, partake in these sorts of things that we would normally associate with like womanhood in society. It's all based on societal things that make us view someone as a woman. So if, you know, somebody who was born a man but transitions to a woman and identifies as a woman, those are the type of things that they'll typically, not always, but typically engage in if they identify as a woman. Like, it's really not, it all comes down to identity. It's really not that difficult to wrap your head around. They just try to overcomplicate it.
Well, it's not difficult to wrap your head around when you're just literally just copying what fucking other breadtube streamers are saying, Tipster. So
Because it gets to the
it's
heart of
probably
your,
why it's not that difficult. I highly
identity,
doubt he'd be
which
able
is
to
at 4 years
articulate
old,
this
you
on
say,
his
"I
own
don't
without
really feel
fucking
like a woman."
grabbing at
How would you
what other
know
people were telling
what
him.
that would mean at the age of 4? And how would you know what that would mean now to feel like a woman?
Because there are a variety of traditions associated with the male and female sex, and I've decided that I'd rather subscribe to the ones associated with the female sex.
But how would you even know what that is?
How would I even know what the traditions associated with the female sex are?
I feel like, you know, a lot of people often like try and make it seem like children are just dumber than they actually are. Children are actually very smart.
I'm just, what the fuck? Are we like, did I just have a psychotic break? Did I exit reality? Why are we talking about children now? What the fuck?
And children are very aware of a lot of things that they may not be able to put into words, what it is that they're feeling, but children are a lot smarter than a lot of people tend to think. Like, I feel like, obviously I'm not transgender, but if I had to guess based on
Not
like,
yet,
conversations I've had with, you know, transgender people, say somebody who was born male, and they
He'll be like
later in
Philosophy
life
Tube. He'll
transitioned to
copy
being female,
Keffels
and they talk about the fact
to
that,
the
you know,
umpteenth
when I was
extent.
a child, I started to notice there was something different about me, and that's usually the way they'll describe it. There was something different about me. They weren't 100% sure at the time what it was,
Few views
but
of
they
lolly
knew
art,
something
yeah.
was different. And sometimes they'll describe it as something along the lines of,
That's so
I
weird.
found
Where the
myself
fuck did
more
children come
interested
from? We were
in like female clothing.
at no
rather
point
than
were we talking about
male
children. I don't.
clothing. Or I found myself looking up to
What?
female role models more so than looking up to male role models. Or maybe I was interested in, you know, activities that were more focused.
Honestly,
towards
that's I like that he says that, because that's actually kind of true for me. I thought Ellen Ripley from Alien was a fucking badass as a kid, and then same thing with Samus. Like I've always it's not even sexual. Like I've always had like a fucking huge amount of respect for like the more take no shit kind of women. I think those women are fucking awesome.
females rather
I
than
looked up to
males,
them as a
etc.
kid.
These are the kind of things that I've heard a lot from people who later in life.
So you know what? Wow, actually
transitioned.
something
These are
introspective.
the kind of like experiences they describe within
Doubt
their
that he came up with it on his
childhood.
own,
Does
but
that
you
make
know,
sense? Anyway.
he's trying.
Yeah, I mean, they could be
I
just
know
a
that-
caricature.
I know that mom stays at home and that dad goes to work. I know that all.
But you would disagree with that.
No.
You said you reject those roles.
I understand.
They
Is
never
this video
did.
going
The
to be
fuck?
the usual try to dunk on the LGBTQ plus community vids? I'm surprised there hasn't been any mention of trans athletes due to that being a big dunk for people who make these videos. Essentially what happened is that Michael Knowles had a bit of one of those like presentations. I guess the main topic of the presentation was abortion. And you know, he was presenting at this school, but he also did like an open questionnaire thing, which they often do at the end, where people can come up and ask questions. And a couple of the people who pushed
Yeah, they
back
only do that
against
shit to
Michael
farm
Knowles
clubs.
during that question and answer session,
Dude, I'm
was
still
Demi-
kicking myself in the fucking ass. Matt Walsh came to my college campus one day, and so little people showed up, I didn't notice until a fucking day later. I was like, oh, Matt Walsh is coming to my campus. Oh, shit, I need to prepare. And then I find out the day that I found out that, oh, it already happened. I'm like, wait, what? And then it happened in the building that I was literally in at the time. I'm like yesterday. Yesterday, I was in that building. There was a small amount of people. It was so fucking tiny. And it was just a bunch of fucking white dudes in suits. Not to be like pejorative, but like that's, you know, it's not Sound like Matt Walsh is really appealing to his to the fucking minorities, all right? But yeah, there was like a couple, it was like fucking like 10 or 20 people there, and it's like I like standing outside of a thing. I was like, that's kind of weird. But I would have loved to like had my moment, you know. I would have been a smarmy fucking shithead, bro. Oh my god.
And her friend.
I'm still
and
mad about
so
that.
they decided, hey, you know, these are like the only two people who really pushed back against me here. I want to invite them on to do an interview to discuss the things they brought to my attention a little bit more. So in the case of Demigloom brought up their thoughts on, you know, being transgender. And in the case of Demigloom's friend, whose name is escaping me at the moment, my apologies if you happen to be watching.
Yeah,
this,
you're not as relevant.
They brought up, you know,
as
the
Tipster.
topic, which was the main topic of
Get
the
on.
presentation, which was abortion. And so they're focusing specifically on those topics. I haven't watched this video yet, so I don't know if trans athletes comes into the conversation. But yeah, the goal for Michael Knowles is very clearly...
You know, Tipster really has to get on his hand into some fucking knees and, you know, be thankful to the commentary community, because they're literally the only reason why he's still fucking relevant, bro.
On, you know, people who are pro-abortion and pro-trans
Tell me I'm wrong.
rights.
Tell me I'm fucking
It's the
wrong.
typical thing you would see from, you know, the Daily Wire types.
What a traditional gender role is, I don't reject that it as a concept exists. I'm not comfortable with these social expectations, therefore I am going to adhere to different social expectations that are generally
But that's not what
assigned
you're
to the
saying.
opposite sex. Yeah, it is.
No, you're not.
I'm saying it right now.
Well, now you are, but that's not previously what you said. Previously, what you said was there are these different social expectations associated with being a woman, and I so wanted to avoid them that I no longer call myself a woman. Not that a woman can avoid those social expectations, but rather that the social expectations are so intrinsic to womanhood that I
That's
will no
that's
longer be
what
a
I
woman.
told you. It would go back to that. It would go back. I told you.
Glasses?
What the fuck?
I don't know. Where are my glasses? Oh, they're right there. Okay.
What?
Mommy Jade is telling me that I need to wear my glasses.
What the fuck? He calls her mommy now? What does the world come to, bro? Oh my god. What happened? Dude, COVID changed people. COVID fucking changed people, bro.
Okay.
They put something in the water. They started putting more fluoride in the water.
I'm also being told by eFozzy to hydrate, so I'll go ahead and do that too. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that.
Oh god. Fucking. God damn it. Wait, was that 2 sound bites? What? Ah, god. Margarita suck, dude. Mommy Jade. Yeah, like what? Do you think maybe he does it out of spite? Oh, that's another fucking soundbite. Fuck me, dude. He's trying to kill me right now. We got like 10 more minutes left, and he's trying to kill me out of spite. You think he does it out of spite? You think he knows it's cringe? Like when he thinks of it in his head, he knows like, oh shit, this is like really cringy and retarded. I probably shouldn't say it, but you know what? I think it makes him mad. I guess you picked the margarita to save your liver. A little bit, yeah. I used to do like vodka mixed with like soda, but obviously like soda makes you fat. Like not like this is any healthier, but like I only do this like 2 times a week, so it's like this slightly healthier option because like I'm doing like a natural. It's like a natural mix thing. I could do vodka shots, but fuck, like vodka tastes like fucking paint, bro.
Everyone.
Let's continue.
You see the contradiction there.
Yes, I understand where your confusion came from. So
No, fuck. God damn it.
I don't want to.
Nice argument. Why don't you back it up with a source?
God fucking damn it, dude. Oh my god. I'm doing a small swig for
Sources that I made it the fuck up.
Thank you very much, Winter Rose. I do appreciate that.
Generally pushed onto women. And I also feel intense discomfort when being called with feminine pronouns, when being called a woman. when being perceived as a woman.
Yeah.
And I understand those things aren't necessarily under my control, so, you know, water off a duck's back. But I feel discomfort with that, therefore I choose to reject it.
Okay. Would you,
What a fucking
just to tie it up on that,
little liar.
Yo,
dude.
what? They called her a liar? Called them a liar? What? That's fucked up. Anyways.
Very much for that.
I don't want to spend the whole time talking about the issue that you wanted to talk about. Would you ever get an abortion?
I could come up with a circumstance in which I would. I highly doubt that such a circumstance would arise.
Why wouldn't you?
Mostly just because those circumstances.
Could be prevented.
I've never
easily.
been pregnant. I do not foresee being pregnant in my future.
Okay, but why wouldn't you in principle, I guess?
In principle, I
What?
have no issues with it.
It's
Past.
this guy always perplexes about principle. Like, it depends on the circumstance, Michael. If someone goes out of their way to avoid getting pregnant, they're probably not going to get pregnant, Michael. So, I mean, but if he's asking, would they get an abortion? I don't know. I guess they, you know, that's actually kind of, they didn't really argue or not argue. They didn't really state specifically that they would, you know, get an abortion. I mean, my opinion is like, I think it's like 14 weeks. I think after 14 weeks, it starts getting into the fucked up territory. But I think abortion is generally like, especially in the cases of rape and incest, like obviously get that shit fucking aborted. You know, it's not fair to the baby to be born under those circumstances. It's not fair. It's not fair. You're basically putting it out of its fucking misery at that point. Yeah. But after like 14 weeks or 18, I mean, that's plenty of time to get a fucking abortion, dude. Like, I'm pretty sure you start noticing symptoms like 2 weeks after, like.
Past certain points of development, I do believe you can start ascribing personhood to a fetus.
What would the point be then?
What would the point be?
Because you said
The point
I
is
feel
to avoid
his
having a
intent
baby,
with
Michael.
asking that question
That's probably
was to
what
try and
abortion
make
means.
the argument of something along the lines of like, well, if you wouldn't get an abortion, then why are you pro-abortion? Doesn't that really seem hypocritical? And no, that's not the case. You might support somebody's right to pursue an abortion, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that you yourself would want or need an abortion. So just because you might not necessarily need one yourself, or you might not be.
I think a better comparison would probably fucking be, you know, with like self-defense. Like, do I support someone's right to self-defense, like to, you know, castle doctrine? Like, you know, someone breaks into your house, do I think you should have the right to fucking kill that person? Yeah, I think you have the right to kill that person. Would I personally? Probably not. Do you think Tipster votes, like electorally? Like, probably. I don't know. I think he'll just vote for whoever Keffels is voting. Well, no, she's not. She's a fucking European. Whoever I don't know, Zan or fucking Vosh is voting for, because like he's a mindless rat. He doesn't know how to think for himself.
Be interested in getting one yourself. It doesn't mean that you don't support the rights of someone else having the ability to do so, right?
There's a point at which I would start to ascribe personhood, and then presumably you wouldn't have the abortion. So what is that point?
I'm not a doctor. And you know,
You like that grin. They had to show that grin because it's like, you're not a doctor, so you don't actually know what the fuck you're saying.
Well, no, they should have. I keep saying she. It's like fucking, you know, it's non-binary. It's hard to get used to they. Okay, it's hard to get used to they. Okay, they're showing the smart because like you should know. You should know. Like if you don't know, then say, well, I don't have a strong opinion about abortion, right? I don't have a strong opinion about it. That should have just been it. And if you press it, it's like, well, I just told you I don't have a strong opinion. I haven't looked into it much, right? I haven't thought about it much. And that should have just been it, right?
Might not understand like the biology behind something or like the science behind something. It doesn't mean that you're
there's no
feeling
science
support.
behind when is it morally okay to abort a fucking fetus. It's entirely moral, right? Why is he reading so far into the show's host? I mean, it's fair to read into them somewhat, but to the extent where he's like he literally did it earlier. He's like he was saying some shit like, oh, do you want to fuck them? Do you want to fuck Demigloom, Michael? Like, that's kind of retarded. Like,
supporting someone's rights are invalid. But that's what that smirk
like,
meant.
he made that
didn't
joke
have to say
repeatedly.
any
Like, it was
words
just like,
there. You knew exactly what he meant when he had that expression on his face.
It's something that I've considered very much because, again, I don't foresee myself being pregnant.
Sure, but you intuit. I mean, you're obviously concerned about the issue of abortion.
Literally
You showed
reading
up
his
to
face,
to ask me this long question about it. So you intuit that there is some point, at least, in gestation where the baby would be a person and then it would be kind of wrong.
yeah, that's welcome to Morality 101, Michael, you fucking
That's
idiot.
me personally.
Yeah, so I'm
Well,
asking your personal
welcome
opinion.
to Morality
Anyone
101.
should be forced to
Yeah,
give up their
it's
bodily
intuitive.
autonomy to
Yes,
save the life of
you are
another person,
grabbing
even if
at
you're
your personal
considering a fetus to
fifis.
be a
Yes, that's
baby.
how morals
Even
work.
if you're considering
So even if it is a
baby
person.
from the beginning.
So then why did you bring up the personhood thing? You just said, look, I would...
That's how I feel. But I don't believe that the way that I feel should necessarily decide what other people do with their bodies and their lives.
You don't think that your conclusions are sound? You don't think that
It's a fucking it's an opinion.
Logic is too good.
I think that believing that my perspective is universally correct, I think that that's hubris. I'm a human being.
But you came here to tell me that my views are wrong and your views are right.
I do believe
isn't
that people
hubris?
have the right to self-determination very firmly.
But you would force me to live in a society that tolerates abortion.
I don't think that you're...
You don't have to, Michael. You can leave. You could go to the desert in the Middle East where they cut your hands off if you fucking steal food or whatever. Or they'll fucking stone you to death if you fucking abort your baby. Okay? If you don't like it here, you can fucking leave.
being personally affected by that.
Nobody's
doesn't
forcing you
affect
to live
at
in
all.
America.
You might be someone
okay?
who might decide.
God damn, dude.
You know, for
it's like you live in
or your
America. You
spouse
live
or
you
partner,
live in the freest country in the fucking world, and you're complaining about people have the right to choose about how they fucking how they want to live their fucking lives. Like, you're in the fucking wrong country, bro.
Like, abortion isn't something that you guys want to take part in. But I don't think that taking. Oh my God! Thank you very much for that. I do appreciate it. I do think that I don't think that like that should necessarily mean that because you don't want to have access to something that other people shouldn't.
I will say, I'll be
access
honest.
To.
Some of Tipster sound bites are funny. The Donald Trump "I'm gonna come" one is probably my favorite, but the other ones suck. Because he overdoes it. See, here's the thing. Tipster overdoes it. If he only did it occasionally, it might be a little funny. Except the Copacabana fucking thing. That's not funny. That's like... I could never see that song the same ever again.
The right to...
I wanted some funny Tipster comments.
Etc.
That it's not affecting your right to self-determination. It's not affecting the way that you live your life.
Right. So you're forcing me to base my political judgments on.
Do you have a fucking uterus, Michael? Do you have a uterus? Is it really forcing you?
Perception of self-determination. Don't you think that's a little coercive? Isn't that a little bit of hubris that you're showing here?
Well, this is odd. Wait, I'm not even I'm not sure you're saying much at all. Could you repeat what you were saying? Try and be more specific.
Yes, you previously said that it's a demonstration of pride and hubris for you to take your own personal judgments and impose them and universalize them to everyone else. And then in the very next breath, you said that your views of bodily autonomy and self-determination ought to apply to everyone, and we all ought to abide by them. That's why you came here, to tell me that I'm wrong and you're right. That's a contradiction.
It's not a contradiction. It's not a contradiction to say that people should have the right to make these decisions for themselves. And then, like, if you choose not to make those decisions in your own life, then you're free. That's what this is all about. This isn't about, like, forcing people to get abortions or anything like that. This is about the freedom of choice. People should be free to make that choice for themselves.
You're forcing you to live in that society.
Michael Knowles and his family decide that, abortion, it's not something we want to do. You can make that choice. And if somebody in their life decides, hey, you know what? This was, it was created out of, you know, a sexual assault type situation, or like, you know, whatever the reasoning may be, you just decide that I need an abortion for this reason or that reason or whatever. It's about choice. You get to choose what you want to do with your own body, right? And that's what it's about. Nobody's forcing you to do anything but make your own choices. And I don't understand what is wrong with that.
I also believe in democracy, and the majority of Americans side with me. They believe in the right to bottle it. Yes.
I'm not so sure. I mean, after Roe v. Wade was overruled.
I'm not so sure. That fucking dude, how can you be a political commentator and not fucking understand how our system works? Just because the electoral college, or just because the Congress decides, or just because the Senate decides, just because the House of Representatives, or fucking whatever the fucking judicial branch, they aren't representative of the people. We could literally look at polling data to see how people feel about abortion, and generally people think people should have the right to abort. Now, where people draw that line, you know, when does abortion become too far? That's where it gets muddy. But most Americans do believe that abortion should be a right.
Half of the states imposed limitations on abortion or banned it outright. That's democracy for you, isn't it?
That's not democracy. That's not.
The impression that we live
You're
in an
retarded.
absolute democracy.
You're retarded.
Where
We live in a
whatever
representative democracy.
Yeah, we do live in a representative democracy, and those representatives do not necessarily, their actions do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the people that they represent.
So you support democracy in principle, just not ours.
I
That's
support
not-
democracy.
But not our democracy.
I support our democracy.
Well, we have a representative democracy, and you
You're
just said
putting
that
a
the
whole lot of
representatives.
words in my mouth.
I think I'm just repeating what you said. I'm trying to.
You're not.
Thank you, NJ
You
Trashboard.
just said
It's so
that you support
stupid.
democracy, and I said,
God,
okay,
he's such a
our
spurg.
democracy, half the states decided to severely limit or outright ban.
Gotta take another
abortion.
drink.
And you said, well, you're assuming that we're a direct democracy. I said, no, we're a representative democracy.
I didn't
And-
say that we were a direct. I was
No,
explaining
said-
to you that
right,
we
I
do
know,
not live
I know.
in a
That-
direct
that's what I'm
democracy.
saying, right? But then I said, right, we live in a representative democracy. You said,
See, now he's,
that's
like,
not
steamrolling her.
representative of the people. But then what that would mean is you support some kind of democracy in theory, but you don't support the actual one we have here, which outlaws abortion in half the states after Roe v. Wade is overruled.
In half the
prefer
states, yeah, all the fucking
democracy
red states. That doesn't
to
represent the
actually
whole.
genuinely
This isn't
represent-
how you measure how. I hate this dude. I literally hate this dude. He doesn't. He's commenting on American politics, and he has like the fucking most. He has like a high schooler level understanding of how our system works. Like, was that retarded Tipster soundboard? Yeah, it was. I don't have a soundboard. I have a soundboard on my laptop. I don't have a soundboard on this computer. And even then, the soundboard that I have is like, it's like, it's so fucking tough, dude.
And the feelings and best interests of the people.
I do it
living
mainly
in
when I
that
play games and
democracy.
stuff like that.
Every once in a while,
For, like, comedic effect.
What if
Do you
50% plus-
believe the government? Do you 100% agree with the government of the United States on everything all the time?
It's a lot of
I
fart
think-
sound
Does that
effects with
mean
the
that you hate
distortion turned
democracy in
like all the way
America?
up.
No, I think sometimes most people disagree with me. But
So it's, like,
but that
very
doesn't mean that I would
ear-rapey
sacrifice
and
my
obnoxious.
view and the rightness or wrongness of my view to the mob or something like 50% plus one. If 50% plus one.
Oh, well,
of
you
the
live
electorate
in
came out and
America,
said that abortion
you
is
fucking
murder
traitorous
and bad
scumbag.
circumstances, would you
So
still
fucking
support
what?
democracy?
America doesn't care about how you feel.
Democracy,
If
what
the
is
majority
Winston
opinion
Churchill
is that
quote?
abortion
Yes.
is
Worst
okay,
form of
then
government out of all the
then
other
it's
ones.
okay. That's
You would
America.
support that.
People have the right to
You just
choose.
got to convince 50% plus one of the people, and you would be the biggest pro-lifer in the country. Ban abortion everywhere.
I mean, I wouldn't agree with it, but I would live with it.
You would live with it. That's good.
I don't. I don't.
I mean, like, that's ultimately what democracy is, right? You vote for the opinions that matter most to you.
Another great,
right?
insightful comment
And then
from Tipster.
if more people
From the
vote
tip.
in
From
favor
the
of
tip.
a particular
Bro.
decision, then that's the one that wins out. Like, that's the idea behind it. So, like, yeah, you can be pro-democracy, and maybe an ideal that you support doesn't win because of that democracy, and still support that democracy. I don't see that as like a contradiction, which is what he seems to try and be making it into.
No, he's not. He's not making it as a
Imposing my
contradiction. He's just being
beliefs on
smarmy
others.
about
If
it.
the majority believes that abortion is murder, then obviously I'd be forced to go along with that. I don't believe in political violence. What would I do? That would be horrifying. No.
Well, great.
Well,
All right,
I
so
mean,
maybe
fucking,
I can-
if you want to be like really debate bro about it, technically, everyone believes, or well, everyone except for anarchists believe in political. Well, actually, no, even anarchists believe in political violence. You know, because people think like the police state, all that stuff, is technically political violence. You know, it's violence being commenced by the state to enforce, you know, their politics, their laws. You know,
a little bit.
I want to be really technical about it.
No.
No.
That sounds like I did. But
I just
No. Just because she says she supports democracy doesn't mean you convinced her of anything. What?
saying that I'm not against political violence doesn't mean
you said you would support.
I wouldn't try and
support the outlawing of abortion if most people wanted it.
I don't think they're saying that they would totally comply.
Give me your eye, bitch.
Social acceptability of being pro-life.
You're doing
I think
all
they
the
would still
commentating
try
for
to convince
Tipster. I
people
have
in the
to.
marketplace of, like,
Fucking, he's dead air McGee over here. He's not saying anything. He's like fucking Tonka Saw,
they
bro.
believe in.
Okay, so you wouldn't accept
So-
what the majority.
I think when they say it,
you
I
just
think-
try to convince.
Whoa,
them.
Kimosabe.
I think they're trying to say they wouldn't override democracy with political violence. They're not saying that.
Oh, well, that's
within
good.
the
No one
market.
had suggested that.
Yeah.
That would have been terrible. Demi, thank you very much.
It's great to talk to you.
Ferris.
I don't know whether or not I ultimately convinced Demi and Ferris.
Really, you
No,
don't
I don't
know?
think so.
Yet either.
All right, I forgot.
But when
No, I don't think you've convinced them.
He's
of
really
anything.
slow.
I
He's
don't
really
think
slow.
that anything
Right.
you said
Please-
is
please
going
forgive
to
Michael
change their
Knowles.
mind. I
He's
will
really
say
slow.
it
He
was
doesn't-
nice
he
to
doesn't know if he
see
does.
them have a civilized conversation about this, because too many times these conversations devolve into like, you know, just like screaming over each other.
That's the
and,
best
like,
part.
You know, just
That's the best
it
part.
doesn't turn out well. So it was nice to see a civilized conversation.
Nah,
happen, but at the same
I
time, it's like, no.
disagree. Hard disagree. I think if you could do blood sports and turn it in your favor like 99% of the run time, I think that's a fucking W. I think that's a W. Because at the end of the day, that's how American politics works. It's like fucking God. It's literally sports. It's literally sports. Like, it's just, if you can fucking yell over your opponent and simultaneously make a good point on top of it, you fucking won. Like, you basically won. Like, that's pretty much how it works. Why is he trying to convince him? It's less of her trying to or them, I guess. It's less of them trying to convince him, and more of them like defending their beliefs, because Michael Knowles has like been challenging their beliefs. That's pretty much all Tipster fucking said. I don't fucking give a fuck about his ending wrap up fucking commentary, fucking whatever, dude. He's got nothing to say. He's like, oh, these people are trans, therefore they're automatically based in everything they do. I think he does these videos because Keffels and other people in their circle don't want to deal with them, as they'd rather stay unthinking about them. Shame Tipster can't articulate right. Yeah. Because these people really thrive. I noticed that, like, some of my old content, my old video on Zan from like almost 2 years ago. Is it? Let me check. From my old video on Zan literally is like, you know, debate is important. Debate is what convinced me to be like a lot more progressive with my ideals, right? Socially speaking, I'm still a capitalist, but you know, socially speaking, I'm like pro-trans and all that fucking shit, right? Debate is what convinced me. I saw these ideas butting heads in the marketplace of ideas, right? I know that's super memed and all that, but that's like an actual thing. People actually listen to that kind of shit. It's important to confront your political adversaries. It's arguably the most, if you're going to engage in politics whatsoever as a spokesperson, that is arguably the most important thing you have to do, right? Is to confront your confront your fucking, your adversaries, right? A year ago? Is it a year ago? January. No, yeah. Okay, yeah, that was a year ago. I thought it was longer than that. Yeah, literally a year ago. Uploaded in January of last year. But yeah, like I hold that same. It's important to debate these fucking people, right? And I'm glad Demigloom and those fucking people did, because it takes a lot of ovaries to do that. Actually, debate should try and change the other side's mind, but the way people go about it, most people go about it is just wrong. I kind of disagree. Because sometimes your opponent is so ideologically driven that it literally does not matter what you say. Like, go listen to a flat earth debate. You're not going to ever convince them that the earth is round. You're never going to do it. They're so ideologically bought in, right? But what's the point of debating? The point of debating them is for their audience. It's more so for their audience. And Destiny talks about this. Even Vosh talked about this, even though he doesn't really debate anymore. It's important to debate these people, especially ones that have audiences, because it's debating them less for, you know, convincing them personally, and it's more so debating them to convince their audience, for the off chance that their audience is listening and watching. Because like that's how I got convinced. I was a right winger. I watched the kill stream. I watched all that shit. I watched Medicare. I was borderline alt-right. I was borderline a fucking Nazi, like, actually. I was entertaining the JQ and shit like that. And then I saw Destiny debating a lot of these people. I'm like, a lot of these guys don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And exactly. It made me more open to other people's ideas and shit like that. But he engaged in name calling. He engaged in the dirty tactics and stuff like that. The dirty tactics, like ad hominem and shit like that. You know, rolling in the mud, blood sports, stuff like that. That also, it adds to the entertainment factor. It made me stick around. If they did a boring, cordial fucking debate, I wouldn't be convinced. I would leave, because I just want blood sports. I just want to hear these people scream at each other, right? So I think dabbling a little bit in all of these things in debate is actually really good. I think it depends on the debate these days. Debates are more gaining an audience. Yeah. I mean, you know, it's a good channel if you actually do appreciate debates. Modern day debates is actually really, I fucking love these people. I don't watch them as much anymore, but I do every now and then. They host debates regularly on topics like religion and politics and everyday goings on and stuff like that. Sometimes they usually host the same group of people over and over and over again, but I think there's a lot of utility in just watching these people butt heads and stuff like that. I definitely check out Modern Day Debate. Modern Day Debate is really fucking good. I love their channel a lot. Let's see what else. I don't know if I want to continue reacting to Tipster. I don't know if I want to do that.